I remember Kathy came into the room with her steno pad and her pencil, and she was horrible at taking notes, and she was terrible at, she didn't really know how to do it very well. But what she did know how to do was interrupt somebody in mid-sentence. We'd be pitching ideas back and forth, and Kathy, who's supposed to be writing these ideas down, suddenly put her pencil down and would say something like, and what if he didn't get the girl, but instead he got the dog?
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So this is going to be the week, I think, we're going to call the week we heard things we didn't expect coming from Disney and Lucasfilm. So Sparrow, they dropped a big scoop today. Said that Jon Favreau himself was in the office talking about Steven Spielberg being in talks on the very down low to direct one of the Thrawn trilogy movies. Now, as we know, George had wanted Steven to direct his entire prequel trilogy, and Steven said, no, it's your baby. But he did, I think, direct and edit. I think he edited, I think it was like the Battle of Coruscant in Revenge of the Sith. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look. But anyway, the feeling that Cameron and I have and other people have is that John put this out there so it would leak somewhere. Now, what does this mean? Well, with the black pills freaking out about the Ben Solo movie not happening, I would think they would be happy. And with the blue pills, like Josh of Den of Nerds, suddenly jumping on Kathy's side because he's an idiot and doesn't know he's being used by her, over the asinine idea of a Ben Solo movie. We felt strongly, Cameron feels strongly, that Favreau wanted the Spielberg news to get out, to leak out. It has not reached, of course, the trades yet, but don't be surprised if someday it does. And as I've said, as we get closer to her leaving point, and we are, the more drama surrounding her is going to happen because she can't leave without causing a ruckus. Now, that being said, the only thing that bothers me, and Cameron brought it up, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, there is a kind of worry that Spielberg is going to be 80 years old by the time this movie gets out there. And I'm just like, the idea of him being there, maybe, you bring him in as an executive producer in some form or fashion, with the first Thrawn movie, so he can actually see how Dave is doing all this and get familiar with the story, I think would be great. I think Dave could probably really benefit from his input as well as, of course, Favreau's and George's. But what does this mean? We got the George Lucas interview, the Wall Street Journal this weekend, which Den of Nerds and Star Wars Theory were whining about. When I looked at it, and I looked at that particular interview, between the lines it said, there's drama going on. I don't want to be part of it. I'm doing my museum. And I'm going to say Star Wars is in the past. So when she's finally gone and my name pops up again, I won't be part of that, part of the flame up, and the rioting going on, which is what's basically, I think, occurring, at least from her side. So that's what I get out of the Wall Street Journal article, because George has been part of Mandalorian, he's been part of Ahsoka. Dave Filoni is his Padawan learner, and Jon Favreau reveres him. So the idea that George wouldn't have something to do with his best friend directing. This was his dream, is to have Steven direct a Star Wars movie. Directing a Star Wars movie would be pretty cool. And it also, I think, in Jon here, Jon Favreau here, also knows that it's going to shut up everybody about the asinine idea of a Kylo Ren movie. When you have to repackage unsold merchandise with merchandise that does sell, that's a George Lucas move, right? Get rid of it. We can't have this. And that's not it. Look, if you're anybody from Jon Favreau to Bob Iger to Alan Bergman, you're looking at the merchandise numbers. You're seeing just how badly The Rise of Palpatine did, and you're like, no, I don't want to make this movie. We will lose money. And that's true. They would lose money. So on that note, John and Dave, I could see them saying, we got to get this thing out about Spielberg. And I think John is smart enough not to put it out there if Spielberg didn't want him to, right? But then you got to remember, Steven Spielberg is not a fan of Kathleen Kennedy's anymore. What he did to her at the Los Angeles premiere of Dial of Destiny, like I said in my upload from earlier today, was it's epic and legendary. That is a cancellation. When you've got Matt Bellany calling her out and her PR agent, Simon, I can't remember his last name, being annoying as fuck to everybody, and then you have the Deadline editors calling Matt Bellany, apologizing for their obnoxious reporter, that's Kathleen Kennedy being annoying. Now you've got Adam Driver seemingly throwing Iger under the bus. That's Kathleen Kennedy. And what's interesting is at first, I saw it come out of Variety, but it first came out at Deadline, and Deadline is her little, safe place, right? So we've got, I think, hopefully a good thing going on. Like George Lucas will probably be a little more involved with this project now because, Steven Spielberg. And remember, again, my speculation, and I said this in my earlier video today, that Spielberg stopped wanting to direct A Dial of Destiny when Phoebe Waller-Bridge was cast in the role of Helena Shaw. Because Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a gigantic feminazi pain in the ass. She's condescending. She's smug. She doesn't have a lot of feminine qualities. She really doesn't, so there you go. But Spielberg going to a Star Wars movie, and I think really I could see George encouraging him to do it. I could see Iger saying, okay, fine, if we get Spielberg, that's great, because it changes the narrative. And if it comes out either in the trades or either officially or unofficially, it's going to change the narrative. And we will cease to be listening to the Kyle Ron movie whining and St. Kathy of Kennedy, right? I'm going to say this. The guy in the picture right here, Bob Iger, heard the pitch and said, but he's dead. Then he and Alan Bergman looked at each other like, what the fuck are they talking about? They said, no. Right? That's all you have to do is, no, Kathy, this is stupid. So, no, right? And then I think what I think She went under their noses to try to get the Ray movie made. Right? Neither would make money. But here we are. Let's talk more.
Who is the glue to all 5 of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
So what do we do while we wait for the official announcement of her exit stage left? Well, we just gotta wait. We gotta absolutely wait to see what else happens, because, like I said, I think Iger is gonna fire back, and I already think that with this casual name drop by Favreau of Spielberg being in talks to direct a Star Wars movie, this deflates anything that she has to say. And I'm all for it. This makes me happy, man, because Steven Spielberg is one of the top 3 greatest directors in movie history. And to have him finally get behind the camera of a Star Wars movie, and a Star Wars movie designed to save the franchise and designed to make George Lucas proud, makes sense because they're best friends. And if you notice, when I showed the video of him basically canceling Kennedy, Spielberg made sure George was standing right there. Harrison Ford's looking right at her and her husband. And I find it fascinating that, Frank Marshall, or as I like to call him, Fake Marshall, prides himself as being some sort of auteur, and he's not. If you are such a, rug for her to walk on, that she can do whatever she wants in a movie you're producing too, that would, I mean, did he have anything to say about Dial of Destiny at all? And the kid they had on the set every day was a complete milquetoast. She set it up so she could be the only one in charge of everything, from casting to costumes, which they're being sued for that, to the creative direction of the show and the story. And it was a fiasco. We know it was a fiasco, and it wasn't a fiasco because Harrison Ford got hurt. And he didn't separate his shoulder. No, it was a fiasco because the first 20 minutes were great. The rest of the movie, it didn't make any sense in a historical place, because you've got a black CIA agent teaming up with Nazi war criminals, and she doesn't know they're Nazi war criminals, and she's black, and they're racists. What am I... That part alone was enough to make me go, you got to rewrite that. You got to change that character. And don't scream, we needed a black... Turn her into a black student who goes on the thing with him, or something like that, right? Or a black PhD candidate in Africa and Morocco. But she didn't have to be... historically it didn't make any sense. So what I think is the story about Spielberg, whether the talks go anywhere, because they're preliminary, they're early, from what people have been saying. If this works, it's going to change Star Wars history and the canon and everything. Because I'm going to tell you something. Nothing hurts worse than for you to see your best friend get betrayed the way George Lucas was betrayed by Kathleen Kennedy. Right? And for Steven Spielberg to sit there and watch that had to suck. For Jon Favreau, who grew up as a fan, it had to suck. So, are we going to see an episode with Grand Admiral Thrawn? I don't know, but I'm actually hoping so. I mean, a film with him. But the news is, I think, going to start coming out even faster. So this is, I think, in my opinion, the biggest Sparrow scoop we ever had. And I'm really happy with it. So this is Steph, signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.